told her I was going to do that. So here's what we're going to do. So, the two questions were, what brought you to Gethsemane, and how has the ministry impacted your life? I don't know what she's going to say. Hey, because remember when Sister Sabola was up here, she said short people have long stories. Hey, she got some whoppers about me now, so I don't know what she's going to do. So, but I do want to say this, though. It's really been a blessing, and I'll tell you what got us here. She'll certainly give the rest of the details. But we, as I said, she was taken to church, or drugged to church by her mom when she was little. And Sister Susan Lee was a part of that ministry that she was raised in. And long story short, we bumped into Sister Susan Lee in I think the mall somewhere when we were dating, and she just invited us to church. And because of that relationship with Sister Susan Lee that she had, we were able to be blessed to get here in Gethsemane. And she'll tell you more. So I'll tell you about the impact that the ministry has had on my life. It's been phenomenal. If you've been to a vision dinner, you've heard my story, so I won't do that. I will tell you that God has been faithful in providing the relationships that I needed to really grow and develop as a man. And I'll name a few of them that are part of this ministry that, had it not been for them, things really would have been different for me in my life and how I see the world and the man that I am today. People like Dwight Towler, just an awesome brother. He was the person that actually counseled me when I joined. And he, through his example, he's shown me and really given me wise words and really helped me through some times to become a better father. He's an awesome father. He's an awesome provider. And through his example, I've really learned some things that I would not have got because of my own experience. My dad is a great guy, but there were just some things that he really couldn't show me, couldn't teach me. And by getting here, I was able to get those things that I didn't have. And people like David Lee, there were some times in our marriage, Lisa and I, that things were just rough. And through the example of David, how he cherishes Susan, how he treats Susan, I'm still learning from him, but in watching him, he's an awesome man. And I never had that example. I never had a brother who knew how to love his wife as David loves Susan, and somebody who is an intentional partner of his wife. It is just awesome watching him. And praise God for this place putting him in my life in a time where I needed that, where I needed to see a good, strong man, how he handles his home, how he treats his wife. And another brother Alfonso Albert, he is an awesome man of God. He's not here today. He's a little under the weather. But through his example and dealing with him and him mentoring me, he's really taught me how to be a confident, competent leader. And he's someone who's shown me the importance of being dependable, being somebody that the church can depend on, being somebody that your wife can depend on. He's really helping me in that area. And I'm so grateful for God sending those relationships. And people like Chris Granderson, those of you that know him, he's an extraordinary black man. When you look at him, he's just a graceful guy. Somebody who, when he comes in, his presence is just real calming and soothing because of just his style and the way he carries himself. And now, certainly, I'm not as smooth as Chris, but he's really taught me some things, and just watching him in action, and it's really been a blessing. My family, when I look at the impact that this ministry has had on my family, I gotta look at several people. Certainly, Delphine and Darrell, they are awesome. The way that they love Simone and Austin and Cam, they're Simone's godparents, and they really just do an awesome job of pouring into her and reinforcing the things that we are attempting to teach our daughter. And Sonny Bustle and Joy McDonald, those are two people that are our godparents of Austin, and that are godparents of Austin, and they are just awesome people, man. That without getting here, we really wouldn't have had the benefit of engaging and interacting with them and learning lessons from them, things that they can teach us just by their example. And Jonathan and Janae, now they have probably had no clue that they have this kind of impact on us, but the work that Jonathan, he started with youth ministry for us, and the way Janae pours into our kids in children's worship, it is just awesome. And I'm so grateful for being here. And we always talk about that this is real. This is real. This is a real place where people are really growing. Curses and generational issues are being broken because of this place. And I'm so grateful. And I'm going to give the floor to this beautiful woman who has prepared things for us.
Well, good afternoon. Okay, those of y'all who felt sorry for me because he called me a drug baby, continue to feel sorry for me because this is what I deal with every day. And yes, we did come to Gethsemane. Well, what brought us here? We did bump into Miss Susan. But most of y'all may not know the connections that we have. I've known Susan since I was born. I spent Sunday evenings with her and Mr. David, Lil David, and Mike all our lives. Darrell was actually the choir director and played the piano and the organ for me when I was a little girl. And Pastor Houston was also my youth pastor when I was a little girl. So when I came here, the instant connection was like, okay, there's a whole lot of people here that I know. But we went home, we discussed, we didn't go home because we weren't living together at that time. But after we got home, after we visited a couple of times, we said, okay, I think we're gonna join here. And the agreement was we would join. However, we come to church one Sunday, and he hops up and joins church. And I'm like, you just left me sitting in the pews. And I was like, I'm not hopping up behind him, so I'll just wait till the next service. And we've been here actually since the end of '99, beginning of 2000. So we've been here for 14 years so far. As far as how the ministry has impacted my life, first I like to say that my personal relationship with God has definitely grown. As he said, I did grow up in church, but one of my problems with church when I was younger was I always felt like I couldn't relate to what the pastor was saying. I had an older pastor, not saying anything was wrong with that, but I just couldn't relate to what he was saying. Those of you who have grown up in church know your typical sayings that they say in church. So if you know it, raise your hand real quick. So I'm going to give you a couple of them, and I'm going to tell you what was going through my head when I would hear these things in church. So one of the things they would say was, he's the lily of the valley. Y'all remember that one? Well, what I was thinking was, okay, he's beautiful, he's awesome, I get it. He's in low places, got it. He's the bright and morning star, I get it. He sits above everything else, beautiful, yes, get it. He's Alpha and Omega, and what I thought about when I heard that saying was always, okay, he's the beginning and the end, so that means, okay, he brought me in this world, he can take me out. Then he would say, well, he's the lawyer in the courtroom. And I would say, I can't relate. I've never been in trouble. Not to say I never did anything wrong, but I've never been in trouble, so I couldn't relate to that one, so I'm about to start wondering. Then he said he's the doctor in the sick room. Well, I'm a pretty healthy person, so I've never been to the hospital or anything. I couldn't relate. But when I came here, I realized that in life, my walk isn't your walk. Your walk isn't my walk. Even though all of us are not perfect, of course, we all go through different things in life. And that was the biggest, well, not the biggest, I'll give the next biggest moment in my walk with God, was that everybody has to take their own journey and go through their own personal things in life. It's personal. The next thing was my prayer life. Like you said, everything wasn't always good in our marriage. And I remember thinking one day, when I was praying for something, and I used to say, oh my God, my prayers are sounding like pity parties. I used to always say, why God? Why am I going through this? Lord, I know it wasn't meant to be this way. Why are you letting this happen to me? Why? It was always a why. And then Pastor Houston preached a sermon that I will never forget. And this was the most eye-opening experience. He preached a message that said, stop asking why and start asking what. Stop asking God, why this, why that, and start asking, what is it that you're trying to teach me? What is it that you're trying to do in my life? What is it that you're trying to move me towards? What am I supposed to learn out of this experience? And that changed my whole entire perspective on everything. because now I don't look at those bad moments as why me, poor me. It's more, what am I supposed to get out of this? The next thing was worship. One Sunday I was sitting in church, and there was a guy that sat beside me, and his hair wasn't picked out all the way. He didn't have on nice clothes. Some people come in church and they're going through something. And as we sat there, he started crying. Now, I'm one of the least emotional people you'll ever meet in your life. And I was just like, okay, he's crying. What am I supposed to do? So I was just like, okay, I'll just tap him. And I was like, are you okay? And he was like, a tear fell out his eye. He said, I've never been to a church where people didn't look at me like I was crazy. And I said, okay. I said, well, you're home here. So that began my journey of, okay, you never know what you can say or do at any given moment that could change somebody's life. You think that what we do day in and day out only affects us, but you never know what that little tap did, what a hug will do, what a smile will do in somebody's life. And the other moment was, KT used to sing a song when we first came here. And it was crazy that you all actually played the song today. But the song was, my worship is for real. And I looked at that and I said, okay, that was one of those aha moments when I was younger. And I said, okay, no matter what's happening, everybody has a different story, like I said before. And sometimes we just get caught up in our own personal stories. And I said, okay, no matter whether my kids, some of y'all have seen my kids, we have 3. And sometimes you've seen me drag them out of here, kicking and hollering. But when I come back in, for some reason, that song always comes into my head, not just the you don't know my story part. At the end, he says, I've been through too much not to worship him. And when I'm going through that point where they're plucking my nerves, matter of fact, before I came up here, the little one smacked the big one, and your mind is all over the place. And I have to keep reminding myself when I'm here, I've been through way more than what I'm sitting up here pouting about, because my kids don't want to act right. I've been through too much not to clap my hands, not to at least say, thank you. And the last thing is, Pastor, you, Al, Dwight, everybody in this church that has poured into this man right here, you have, I'm not emotional, you have stretched him beyond measure. What you all also don't know is, and he didn't know I was going to say this, he does not like to speak in public. And this man has spoke every single service for this month. And I'm up in the morning when he's up at 5 o'clock still pondering what he can say to the congregation that will come from your heart. He wants to make sure that your vision for this place is being conveyed through him. And I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, because as a result, you all don't know what this has done for our family. It always hasn't been good, but the place that we are in right now, the faith that he has right now, we own our home business. And with our business, we had to close our business a couple of years ago. And he had to journey into something else. But you know what? When I say tithing, he's not tithing from what we bring home. Whatever the company gets off the top, he gives his 10. Not what we bring home, what the company brings in, and the blessings that we have gotten as a result. By this man doing what he's doing and leading and running our household has been an awesome testimony to what God can do in your life. God knows. I am so proud of him.
She done messed me up, y'all. Next time I'm gonna make sure I read her notes. She done messed me up. So, all right, good. So, here's the thing. Throughout the month, we've heard a lot of stories, and they all have different origins. People got here at different times, different ways. But the remarkable thing is that we've all had something that's in common, which is the ministry has greatly impacted our lives, every one of us. And I think that all of us sitting in here now can agree that this ministry has really made a difference in your life. It's certainly made a difference in mine. It's an awesome experience and an awesome opportunity that I have to be a part of this, to really help advance the ministry to the next phase. And it's been said that the greatest investment, or the greatest contribution that someone can make aside from raising their children, is the work that they do at the local church. And this is our opportunity. We have an opportunity here to make an awesome contribution. The people that came before us are the reason that my wife and I can sit up here, and my wife and I have experienced the things that we've experienced out of this ministry because of the investments that they made. And we're now at our point where we have the opportunity to do that for somebody else, someone who's not here yet, someone who, like I was, is sitting over there in Scott Hall or the Towers, struggling, in a deep, crazy, dark place. But one day, because of the work that we're doing here, and that you, the folks that are already in college, will go back and possibly invite somebody, you're going to change somebody's life. And this place allows us to do that, because all you got to do is get them over here. And this place is going to do the rest. And this is awesome that we have the opportunity to be a part of this. So as we prepare to make our contributions and make our pledges today, I want you to think about this. And this is something that's been the recurring theme throughout this entire month, and it will be throughout the entire 3-year journey. It's not equal giving, it's equal sacrifice. Say that with me. It's not equal giving, it's equal sacrifice. That is so important. That is the foundation of what we're saying here. It isn't about how high your gift is. It isn't about any of that. It's about the level of sacrifice that you're willing to make towards this work of this ministry. And I think that there are 3 people sitting in this congregation right now. I think the first person is the person who has already committed, who has submitted their pledge card. Now, at this moment today, when Pastor gets up, you don't have to submit another pledge. Then I think that there are people who are ready to commit. They probably have written it out. It's already written out. They know what they're going to give, and it's in their hand, and they're feeling good. I'm ready to go. And then I think there are folks that are unsure, and unsure if they're even going to commit, unsure of what their amount is. And if you're one of these people that is unsure, my words to you would be, don't be. Don't be unsure. Because it's not about equal giving. It's about equal sacrifice. Say it again with me. It's not equal giving. It's equal sacrifice. So when you're sitting